Let's talk some Zelda newcomer in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Fighter Pass 2. And what is this DEMISE leak? What's happening, my block buddies, and welcome to a brand new episode of Blocked Content's Leak Speak. My name is Callum, and this is going to be your content for today. Today we get to talk about brand new The Legend of Zelda leaks, and it's so much fun to break these down because, of course, there's something special about that The Legend of Zelda franchise that just you can't really find anywhere else. It's just the breadth of this whole huge universe and how epic everything is, and I can't wait to kind of find out more information about Breath of the Wild Part 2. And if this leak is to be believed, there's a whole lot more information that's going to break our brains in terms of how the game works. Of course, a lot of people have different theories about Breath of the Wild Part 2 and how it could differ from anything that we've seen before, right? Including maybe a different playable character, maybe a whole different world, maybe we're playing in a whole different era. There have been people saying, it's going to play in the future, but the overworld kind of still, plays the same and looks the same. There's a whole lot of fun stuff that you can do with that universe, and I can't wait to find out which way they'll go. Well, today we actually get to break down a leak that claims to know the title of the brand new The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel that right now is just being called The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild's sequel, right? So yes, there's a whole lot of intrigue surrounding this game. We now just know anything like the trailer showed us nothing of note in terms of the general story and the gameplay. It just showed Link and Zelda exploring a cave and then coming across the tomb of Ganondorf. And this leak actually talks to us about Calamity Ganon's corpse and other characters from other Zelda entries that might be entering to kind of form everything together. And of course, Breath of the Wild in terms of story, fits in just perfectly to kind of tie all of these Zelda stories together. And of course, I've been answering many of you guys' questions about Smash Ultimate and new fighters in our show Question Blocked, where I answer your question. What do I think of your favorite game? How do you start making YouTube content yourself? Well, whatever you can think of, send your question through to blockedcontentmail@gmail.com, and I will answer your questions live on the show in our next episode. So I can't wait to find out more about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Part 2, and this leak actually claims to know a whole lot more information about it. Now, let's break it all down. It says The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 name and details. It starts saying the name is Demise of the Malice. And it says that the plot revolves around Demise. And if you guys don't know, Demise was the huge character reveal in The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. And of course, now we're getting Skyward Sword HD. So this connecting would actually be quite cool, like Nintendo really doing this Zelda cinematic universe. So the plot revolves around Demise being summoned into Calamity Ganon's corpse by Vati. So of course Vati, also a huge Zelda character and never really appeared in one of these huge big 3D Zelda games, so that would also be awesome. Now getting Demise mixed up in Calamity Ganon's corpse is also a huge big crossover between villains, so this could potentially be what the Spider-Man movies are always trying to do, like cram as many villains in the movie as possible, and that's what they're doing here with Zelda villains in the game. Now the map is double as big. This seems like something that a lot of open world games are doing, right? Every GTA game always seems to, it's twice as big or 3 times as big. And even with the Marvel Lego games, they're doing something similar like that too. And of course, fans are hoping for another, big overworld that really feels like Breath of the Wild Part 2, right? It's not just the same map with maybe some new things in it, but it is a whole new universe to explore. And I think that there are 2 ways to do it. It's to, discover something above world or maybe underground, right? Because you can't really expand the story if you can't travel any further. That just won't make sense. I hope, in all honesty, that it's going to be just a different world. That would be the most incredible part here, right? That it will just be a new map. But yeah, we've kind of heard that it's the same map, so we can already write that off. So the map is double as big, and it says you play as Zelda. So potentially we're going to be playing as the princess herself, which of course we're already able to do in Age of Calamity, which is incredible. A lot of cool powers and all the runes. I think that Zelda is such a cool character in that universe. I love the way that we have Zelda in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Her appearance in that game, I think, is also a very big step up from what we've had before. I think the Twilight Princess look was already awesome, and Zelda's look in Melee, the Ocarina of Time look was also really cool. But this one, the A Link to the Past look, I think fits Zelda very well. It's very classy and playful, and normally she's very serious. And I think that if we're gonna go this route, you play as Zelda from Breath of the Wild Part 2, then it's going to be even more, awesome, because of course, as we know, in Age of Calamity, she can really throw down. So potentially having that Zelda in Smash, that idea is just really cool. But I don't think that they'll do a DLC fighter that is another fighter, right? Maybe a Paper Mario. Maybe that's going to be like the, the rule that breaks it. And Sakurai, of course, likes to break rules. Now, so you play as Zelda, and it says Link gets killed since the beginning of the game. So it doesn't say, wake up, Link, but it says, oh, Link is gone, like Link just isn't there for the beginning of this game. Maybe, you encounter Link later in the game, or maybe he is a spirit, like, of course, Zelda was in one of the games. But yeah, it seems like Zelda needs to, take up the mantle of the hero of time, which is going to be really cool. Now, 4 champions are now Riju and Teba, Yunobo, and Sidon. So that is also really interesting, kind of, having the brand new part of the story, brand new champions. And that's always been a really big part of this new universe of the, the Breath of the Wild universe, which I think is really cool. They're really hammering it home that this is its own franchise, right? It's not just The Legend of Zelda. No, it's the Breath of the Wild, the Calamity universe. And that's really cool about this. Now you have to train with Riju and, of course, Yunobo, probably. So yes, I think that is also really cool. That's kind of similar to The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker for GameCube, and then of course later Wii U. You can really start the game off by connecting to these different characters and villages and getting, to train with them, getting to really up your game and try and, find out these new weapons, how do they work. So that would be really cool because, of course, it's Zelda. It isn't Link anymore. There's a different way to kind of train your character there. Now, the main game is similar in spirit to Breath of the Wild, but has significant changes to the core mechanics of the open world aspect of the previous entry, being more in line with the likes of Simpsons Hit and Run. So I think that what they mean here is that it might be a little bit more mission based, right? It's a lot of, it's a huge world that you can do a lot in, but it's also very mission based that you can do inside of that universe, which I think would be really cool. And I think I had some trouble initially with playing Breath of the Wild just because it was so big and so open that I felt like I could go anywhere, but I really wanted the game to kind of hold my hand a little bit more. I'm one of those weird people that really loved Skyward Sword and thought that it was really cool that it was super linear and super handholdy, and Breath of the Wild, for me, at least in the beginning, was too open, right? And it didn't really give me any good instructions on where to go. So I kind of left it for a very long time. So yeah, I'm one of those guys. Now the timeline follows changes made in Age of Calamity and also Breath of the Wild in a surprisingly obvious way. So of course, for the people who've played Age of Calamity, that game kind of does stuff in terms of timelines and in terms of the grand scope of everything. And then the release date settled for December 2021, as well as Nintendo Switch Pro. So they're saying 2 huge things here. Number 1, the game is coming out this year. I don't really think that this is a possibility at all. It feels like this game could never come out this year. It's just too risky, and I think that even they didn't even show anything about it in the latest Nintendo Direct. I don't think that the game is coming out this year. And Nintendo Switch Pro, well, I mean, Nintendo announced something. I really want to find out if there is a new console coming. If it's the Nintendo Switch Pro, then I want to know and I want to see it. So I'm really curious what you guys think of all the news of today. If you have any specific thoughts on this, you can of course put down a comment below, and maybe that comment could even get featured in our next video. And of course, our comment question of the day is, well, what do you think the new game in the Breath of the Wild series will be like? And as for previous comment question winner, our answer comes to us from our very own user, JC Butterfly, saying, I've been saying this. Banjo and Kazooie have joined Smash back in June 2019. As always, the Smash Bros. Ultimate DLC Fighters Pass 2 with the final 2 spots remaining. I believe Crash should join Smash. If there's another new DLC fighter, I won't be able to see a real leaked or fake. What is happening right now? I'm very sure to see this by the end of the year. JC Butterfly, thank you so much for your comment, and I think that it's going to be really cool to kind of celebrate this, right? Back in June of 2019. I mean, time flies if you're having fun. Time butterflies if you're having fun. So thank you so much for sending in your comments, everyone. These are always a ton of fun to read through. And of course, a big shout out to your latest Patreon supporters and the super chats you guys send during live streams. You guys make block content possible. So if you want to have yourself created in block content style, join me for a live discussion, or even have your own ideas become animations, go to patreon.com/blockedcontent. There's a bunch of incredible rewards there, and they're waiting for you. And remember, if you're not yet a member of the Blocked Content family yet, hit subscribe now, smash that like button, and ring the bell for notifications, and all the news and fun you care about will be delivered on the daily to you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you around the corner with, as always, more Blocked Content. See ya.